Sean Brady versus Gilbert Burns is a real interesting matchup in my opinion, and I keep going back and forth about who I think is going to win. I think that if Gilbert Burns was 5 years younger, I don't think there would be many people at all that would be picking Sean Brady to win. But the reality is, Gilbert Burns is an old man who is rapidly approaching the age of 39, and he got knocked out like what 6 months ago, 299, right? So yeah, let's break it down. I still am kind of figuring out who I'm gonna pick, so I kind of just want to talk through it and see what conclusion I come to. Let's talk about Sean Brady first. So Sean Brady's last win was also probably his best win over Kelvin, where he just kind of wet blanketed him for most of that fight, took him down. Big Tubby, Big Tubby was like a turtle on his back, couldn't get up, couldn't do anything, and Sean Brady eventually, found a submission in round 3. I think he Kimura'd him, right? Or just something like that, a straight arm lock maybe, I forget. But yeah, he beat Big Tubby. Kelvin Gastelum I just do not really rate that win that highly. Kelvin Gastelum is not very good. He missed weight in his last fight. I don't think he's been motivated or focused for a real long time. So Sean Brady's he's a little bit of a wild card going into the Gilbert Burns fight, in my opinion, as far as his grappling, like where it really peaks at. He looked pretty good against Michael Chiesa in the grappling. He was able to like hold him down and kind of just smudge him for a lot of that fight. Even though he was kind of getting outstruck in a lot of moments, which is really worrying if you're a Sean Brady fan. So yeah, that's his best weapon, is his ability to control you on the ground. I don't think there's really many other people currently in welterweight that have as good of control as Sean Brady once it gets to the ground. The problem is with Gilbert Burns is that he is probably the hardest person to hold down in welterweight. Hamza Chimaev bailed after being in Gilbert's guard. What Gilbert did is, he would basically just put in a knee shield and just hammer fist Hamza out from bottom. And Hamza just stood up. He's like, fuck that, I'm just going to strike, And I don't really think that Sean Brady is going to be as dominant on the ground as a guy like Hamza Chimaev is. Going into this fight, Gilbert Burns is gonna know exactly what Sean Brady wants to do, and he's gonna have a great ability to not get smudged, just kind of stand up out of bad positions. Like in the Damian Maia fight, Damian Maia was literally on Gilbert Burns' back. He had a hook in, and he bailed on that position and tried to go for mount, and Gilbert Burns literally just kind of scooted out, escaped out the back door, and stood up. And that's Damian. I know he's old Damian Maia, but still, it was young Gilbert Burns, I guess you can say, right? And then he chinned Damian Maia with the first punch that he threw. Like, this is the thing about this fight, is that Gilbert Burns, even though he's an old man, he still has serious power in his hands and in his legs. I mean, he broke JDM's arm with a kick in round 1 in their fight. And yeah, he got outstruck by JDM, but I mean, JDM probably is the best boxing. Arguably, he's like a top 3 boxer in the UFC probably. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's really a bad loss to have. And he didn't look terrible in that fight regarding the grappling. You know what I mean? He really didn't. He was able to hold his own against JDM and not get finished until the last minute of that fight. And yeah, I really think that Sean Brady's going to have a real hard time controlling Gilbert on the ground and taking him down repeatedly and having success there. So I do think that this fight is going to, for the most part, be standing. And what we've seen from Sean Brady is that his striking is really not great. He was doing well in the Bilal Muhammad fight with the leg kicks and the jabs, and maybe he's going to employ a similar game plan with a lot of leg kicks, a lot of jabs, just trying to hang around the outside. But again, once his takedowns started getting stuffed, he kind of freaked out against Bilal, and he got freaking finished by Bilal with the boxing, which, like Bilal's real good, but I mean, it's not a good look to be kind of, get finished in the way that he did, where he kind of just crumpled under the pressure and freaked out because takedowns weren't working. So I feel like the mental pressure on Sean Brady, if he's not having success with, on the ground, the mental pressure might get to him, and he's like, oh no, not another Bilal Muhammad situation. And that might kind of tire him out a bit, you know what I mean? Just like being so stressed out that he's about to get chinned, because even though Gilbert's old, like he knows that he can get chinned at any moment in a fight with Gilbert, and it's 5 rounds. So gas tank wise, I might be leaning Gilbert Burns as far as like, I feel like Gilbert Burns might look good in the later rounds, to be honest, which is interesting, you know what I mean? Because Gilbert's, he's an old man, and he's never had the most insane gas tank, but he does have a lot more experience, and I think he's going to be really confident if I'm correct, and Sean Brady isn't able to get anything going on the ground, and it kind of turns into a striking match. That being said, we can't pretend like Gilbert isn't old and coming off 2 losses, including a brutal KO loss that was not that long ago. Like Gilbert Burns, here's the thing about him striking, is that he really struggles with like the basic stuff, like with the jabs. You can low kick him a lot of the time, straight punches. He does not do great with those types of strikes. You know what I mean? He does better when someone's swinging at him as hard as they can, like Hamza, and it turns into a dogfight. I just don't see Sean Brady really doing that. I see Sean Brady just being boring, leg kicking at range, smudging against the fence. I don't think he's going to get submitted by Gilbert Burns if he takes him down. Gilbert Burns can't really submit a fly offensively, So it's like, it's probably going to be mostly on the feet. It might be really boring. I think it's probably going to be a really boring fight unless Gilbert Burns gets a KO. And he does have 5 rounds to get that KO, but I don't know, man. It's really hard to pick Gilbert Burns out, especially after his last loss. So I don't know. I think final prediction, I think I'm going to go Sean Brady by super boring, lackluster decision, but I could see Gilbert, getting a KO. It kind of depends on, what version of Gilbert Burns we get. I don't know. It's a big problem that he got KO'd so recently, and I don't know. I just see Brady being the more conditioned, younger guy, and leg kicking at range and smudging on the ground when he can and pushing him against the fence and doing what he can. But I don't know. I don't think he's really going to be able to control Gilbert on the ground. I don't think that he's going to be able to knock Gilbert out unless it's like in the first 10 seconds. But Brady really doesn't have any finishing ability over Gilbert. So I'll say Brady by really, really, really boring decision, or Gilbert by early KO. Or actually, no, I'll say Gilbert by like mid-rounds KO after like the takedown stop working. But I think, final prediction. Let's go Brady by decision. Fuck.